Hello, hello. Sorry I'm late. So sorry, had a bit of technical difficulties here. Trying to get on, and I had to reschedule it an hour than I originally thought I could get on. So welcome. I hope, if you've been waiting, I apologize, and hopefully it will be worth the wait. So if you're here, let me know. Say hi, let me know where you're watching from. And hopefully we'll have some fun. Just gonna adjust this a little bit. That looks about good. All right, so we're gonna be making 2 cards today. These 2 lovely cards. And I think it will be a lot of fun. So welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me show you what we're going to be working with. Again, this is for the Growing in Unity week that I am participating in this week. And I am using this kit today. This is the Whit-Kit. It's a card kit from Unity Stamp Company. This was the April kit, so it's no longer available, but if you like what you see and you like some of the stamps and the products that are in this one, definitely sign up. I have a link to it in the description box below under supplies, where you can head over to Unity and check it out and sign up for May's kit and then future kits. For only $40, you're getting a really great value. In this kit, we got a stamp set. We got a full size of these Nuvo Gilding Flakes, which is what I'm going to show you how to use in this video. You get some twine, you get some Nuvo Precision glue pen. You get a full paper pad, pattern paper pad. So those are the things that came in the April kit. Hey Anel, thank you so much for joining, and welcome from Illinois. I hope you're doing well and getting some crafting done if you're stuck at home like a lot of us still are. I gotta tell you, making these cards every day is one of my highlights. It's just been really relaxing, and I've really loved it. So this is the stamp kit, and you get these 2 butterflies, 2 bees, and then 5 different sentiments. And we're going to be using all of them except this one. The first card that we're going to make is this one right here. This is using the butterflies and these small sentiments. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to use the Gilding Flakes. So let's go ahead and get started. If you want, you can share this video. In fact, I'm going to share mine right now on my Facebook page before I get started. And share. Cool. All right, so perfect. Okay. Whew, it's been quite the morning, if I can say so. I'm a little bit like overwhelmed right now. Gosh, I don't know. I just feel like I mentioned this a little bit in my blog post yesterday. I feel like there's just not enough hours in a day to get things done that I want to get done. And I'm trying really hard to get things done, but it's just not happening. So Let me grab my Misty. I have a little bit of an avalanche about to happen over here to my right. I have some screaming children in the background. And my Misty is getting stuck. All right, so for this one, all I did, and it came together in such a way that I wasn't planning. I just wanted to see how the butterflies stamped out, like how detailed they were, and then it turned into a full-blown card design, which is pretty cool. And what I'm gonna do to try and save a little bit of time here is I'm gonna try to stamp the butterflies and the sentiments together. All at once. I didn't do this originally because, like I said, when I put it together, it was like, it just happened to come this way. And for some reason, I know this should fit all in one panel. I need to leave a little room at the top for the last butterfly. So let's just scoot these all down a little bit. And hopefully, that doesn't look like it's going to leave me enough room. Maybe I won't put the sentiments in quite now. I'll just scoot these down and hopefully we'll have enough room. The stamp, the ink that I used, I think, was this one, the Blackout Detail ink. I do have the list of supplies for this card on my blog. If you go to inkyfairydesigns.com and click on yesterday's blog post, you'll see the list of supplies on that post. And of course, don't forget to leave your comments there so that you can have a chance at winning the 25 Unity stamps that I will be giving away at the end of the week. Hopefully I haven't gotten kicked off. My computer screen is not working. Trying to get some water here onto my stamp chamois. Am I frozen? I really hope I'm not frozen. Looks like it's still working on my phone. Oh, I don't know why this isn't working. I should have moved that one down. Hopefully, though, we'll still have room for our sentiments, which are right here. If you are watching, let me know if I'm still streaming, because I can't see it on my computer. So if you're here, let me know. a little bit crooked, but that is handmade for you. Okay, looks like it's working again. Man. Shoot. Am I back? Hello? Lost it again. Hopefully it's working. Okay, so we're working on this card here. I did do some coloring with the Karin Brush Marker Pros watercolor markers. I really, really like these. I've been promising a video on them for a really long time since I got them, but there's just not enough hours in the day. So I found that they work best on smoother type of watercolor papers. And this particular paper, which is not a watercolor paper, it's more of a marker coloring paper. I found rather than adding water to the markers, I can just layer them on their own if I start with the darkest color, so I'm not going over the markers too much, and they blend just enough that it looks pretty and I'm not damaging the cardstock. I'm running out of watercolor paper and just haven't been able to order any more, but I still have some. But most of my paper right now is cold press paper, which I found these markers work better on hot press paper, on a smoother watercolor paper. So that is some of the things that I'm learning, and as I use them more, I learn more about them. And then hopefully when I am able to get that video done a little bit more in depth about the markers and what I think about them, I can tell you I love them. It's just one of those things. It's like anything else when you're working with a new product or a new supply to you. There is always a learning curve, and just allow yourself to learn those things. Try not to get frustrated. I'm laughing because I hopped on here extremely frustrated for other reasons. But just allow yourself some grace when working with a new art supply, because the way you might have used something else is going to be, it might not apply to this or whatever it is. So that is that. But as you can see, I think that is really pretty. We've got some depth here in the butterflies. For the second butterfly, I went a little bit more orange, and it doesn't look bad, but I thought maybe I don't I'll show you. I use this amber for the inside. And then I use this pale orange. One thing I liked about this card is how quickly it came together and how pretty it looked. And I love the little sentiments that say grow, evolve, and transform, because that is something we are always constantly doing, especially in art. You're going to always learn new things, or at least you should. Constantly learn new things. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a darker body on these than I did with the first one. Okay, so that is that. Super easy. Super easy coloring. I'm just trying to see if there's been any comments that I missed. Nope. Whew. Man, oh man, I am just like, I don't know. All I did was I took my trimmer here and just cut off a little bit off of each side. Tried to make it as even as I could, but really just eyeballing it. Wanted to leave a little bit of an edge on either side for our gilding flakes. So what I did for that was I used some of this score tape, red line tape. There's a lot of different tapes you can find, but you just want like a really strong, sticky, tacky tape. And I just try to line it up along the edge, keeping it as straight as I can. So on either side, and I'll cut off the excess, and then I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm just lining it up with the edge of my paper as best as I can. A little bit, got a little bit off on that side. Nothing ever comes out quite as good on live. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just nervous or whatever. Maybe I'm just not as good when I feel like I have people watching me. Thank you, Sydney. Hi, how are you? Yes, I love yellow butterflies. Yellow is such a happy color. Okay, oops. So then, we're done with that. So these are the Nuvo Gilding Flakes. And you can add instant metallic foiled effect to every craft project. All you really need is an adhesive to apply these. An adhesive that stays tacky, and that is what adheres the gilding flakes to your project. I just use my fingers to kind of burnish it in. One thing that you will want to note is that if you have a fan in your craft room or air condition that blows right over your desk where you're working, you'll want to turn those things off, because this is very, very lightweight, feather-like product, and it just, any little, even if you sneezed, it would go everywhere. So definitely take that into consideration when you're working with Gilding Flakes. Open the jar slowly. Don't just like whoosh it open, because the Gilding Flakes kind of rise. They pop up as soon as you take the lid off, and it will start to go everywhere. So just take it off gently. You can see what I'm talking about here. So the lid keeps them pushed down as soon as you, especially a brand new bottle, as soon as you lift it up, it's going to start to go everywhere. So once I'm ready to start working with the Gilding Flakes, I'm going to remove that backing tape or the release tape, what have you. I'll do one side at a time, and then I'll just take little bits of it. They kind of come in large and large sheets. Some are smaller, but you can find that there's like big bits of it. Gosh, I can't even talk. And you just like place it over the tape, the adhesive, whatever you're using. And then once it's down, you're going to start to burnish it with your finger. And wherever there is sticky adhesive, it's going to stick, and the excess will just rub right away, like that. Oh yes, Sydney, definitely. It is a very loose product. I see many people who aren't aware of this, the properties of this. I mean, you can see how light it is. Very, very thin. And make a mess of it as soon as they open the jar. So we've got this excess on our table, and we can just scoop that up with our fingers and place it over here. Anything that didn't get used before, that's, you know, not just dust, we can place that down. I can grab these from the jar lid, place them down, tap it down. Like that. And you can try to, like all of this loose stuff, you could totally scoop it up back into the jar if you want. If it's super fine, I just dust it off into my trash can. I don't try to scoop up all of the last little bits. And when I worked with this before, I had a little like scrubby brush tool that I don't have right now. It's packed away, but you could get one of those and burnish this edge even more. But I think burnishing with your fingers is definitely good enough. I'm just going to sweep this into my trash can. Like I said, you could totally try to get that back into the jar, but it's so fine that I'm not going to worry about it. You could even use like a little cloth and just burnish that even better. And so here, I'll bring it up close so you can see how pretty that looks. And you've got this beautiful, perfect strip of gold on your card. And that is the trick to getting that look, is just using some score line, thin line, red line, whatever tape that's already just in those strips. I think it would be really pretty to do like a stripe a pattern with the Gilding Flakes on the background. I think that would be really pretty. So I'm going to grab a sheet of this paper. I use the more monotone sheet that was in this collection. Let me see if I can find it here. This one. There's a lot of pretty floral prints in this collection. And I just used my paper trimmer to cut it down to a A2 size. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm just going to cut that, not use a die. Keep it simple. And then we're going to adhere that to a card front. And then I just adhere this to the middle. And I'm just eyeballing it, making hopefully that it's even on both sides, and then laying it down. I like the way the pattern looks on either side, and now we can adhere it to a card base. Now I think they do. I think they do come in silver. And I also know that while I'm working with the Nuvo brand today, that's what came in the card kit, there are other Gilding Flakes out there that you could find that come in many different colors. So I don't know particularly if Nuvo has silver. I think they do. If you click on the link in the description box to the Nuvo that I use, you can check scrapbook.com and check out all the different colors that they have. So I'm also going to use some crystal glaze. If you can see on the sample or the first card that I made, there's that little dimensional glaze on there, and that is what I used to do that. So all I did, I always test it on like one of these scrap papers to make sure it's coming out nice and evenly, and then I just I outline the entire stamped image. I'll outline one wing, and then I'll take it and I'll kind of like fill that in, gently squeezing the bottle. This comes out so smooth. I actually really like this brand of crystal glazing because so far the bottle hasn't clogged. It comes out really smooth and dries super clear. So all you see, it looks milky now, slightly milky, but it dries like it says, crystal clear, which I love. Oh, my 2-year-old needs a nap so bad. I didn't realize how tired I was yesterday. I laid, some nights I'll lay down with her to get her to go to sleep. And last night she asked me to lay down with her to go to sleep. And I laid down with her and I fell right asleep with her and slept right until 4 a.m. And then I went back to sleep and got up at 5:30 to make my husband breakfast and lunch for work. He had to go in today. He's been working part-time from home, but there's things that he has to do from the office, and today was one of those days. We miss him though when he's gone. We've really enjoyed, one of the things from everything that's going on is that I really do wish he could work from home more, or have a job where he worked from home completely. It was just really nice to have him here. So this is all I do. Just fill that in. And then when you do use the crystal glazing, I'm sure this is probably self-explanatory, or maybe it's just because I have 5 kids that I've had projects ruined and smushed by little curious hands because they love to see what I make and I love to show them. But put this up away, like if you're working on other things, put this card up away where you won't get into it until it's dry. Otherwise, you will smash it and ruin it. So, and how long does it take to dry? It says dry flat for 24 hours. I think within an hour or so, it's pretty tacky. But I'll show you. And it's already, you know, pretty clear. If you look at this one compared to that one, it's already really clear. But you can see the difference between completely dry and slightly dry. So I'm going to put this baby up to the side, and we're going to start on our second card. Oh, cool, Kiyomi. Thank you for answering that. May go suddenly waiting for... Oh, no problem, Sydney. You can watch the replay for the second card. I'm going to have to get some of that copper. I love copper. Okay. So this is the second card, and I really wanted to gild the images in this stamp. So in order to gild, like I said, you do need some type of adhesive. So how are you going to apply adhesive to your stamps? I don't have a glue pad. That is one thing that you could use. There are glue pads out on the market from different companies. So you could totally do that. Stamp your image with a glue pad and then apply the Gilding Flakes. Another way that you could do it is there are some embossing powders that you can use to apply Deco foil. So when you dry the embossing powder, it remains tacky. That would be perfect. I don't have any of that on hand, so I couldn't use that, but I did have the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo, and I knew this was a new product that had just come out, and you can use it with heat or no heat. So the original transfer gel, you had to run it through a heat, like laminator or something like that, to foil it because it dried completely. This dries tacky, so it dries clear and it stays tacky, so you can use it with or without heat, just pressure. So we're going to test this because when I did this one, I used it within about 30 to 40 minutes after I stamped it. But the one thing that I want to be very clear, and I put this in the blog post that you can find linked below, you need to wash your stamps right away after you stamp them with the transfer gel. You do not want it to dry on your stamp at all. It will ruin the stamp, And personally, I would only use this with rubber stamps because you can wash rubber stamps with soap and water. I know you can wash clear stamps as well, but I feel like the rubber stamps are heavy duty. They can withstand paint. I use them in my mixed media a lot, so that's why I wasn't worried about using them with the Deco foil transfer gel. So I didn't want to like run upstairs to wash my stamps while I was doing the live. So I went ahead and stamped them onto some of this navy cardstock so you can see it, the clear image. And hopefully it is tacky. I don't want to touch it because I don't want my oils from my skin to get all over it. So again, we're going to open this nice and gently. And then we're going to start applying some of the Gilding Flakes to our image. And with stamping with the gel, you're not going to get a perfect impression. There is a lot of detail on these bees and the butterflies that are in this stamp set, and you'll lose that with the gel because it's messy. Even though I used a makeup sponge to apply the gel to the stamp and kind of smoothed it down, but it's still, you know, you're gonna get more of an abstract kind of look. I think you can still tell on my first card that they are bees, and it's just a really cool look, I think. And it goes really well with the sentiment that comes in the stamp set that I paired it with. Look at this beautiful big sheet of Gilding Flake. It's like, oh, it's such a big piece. We can cover our whole image and then some with it. Could probably cover both these bees with this one flake. So again, like I mentioned before, when I'm working with the Caron markers for the first time, it's all about experimenting, getting to know the product. And so I'm going to do the same thing that I did when I applied the Gilding Flakes with the strip of adhesive. I'm just going to burnish it into that Deco transfer gel with my finger. And you can kind of rub away in the wings a little bit more if you want to pull some of that detail out, because there isn't going to be a whole lot of adhesive there. And so then we'll tap this off, and it worked. I'm so happy it worked. So you can see I stamped these with the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo early this morning, about 7 a.m. to get ready for this live. And so that was like, gosh, 6 hours ago at least. And it does stay tacky. So I have a lot of big flakes left here on my mat. So I'm just going to place those back in the jar. We're done with the Gilding Flakes. I hope you enjoyed seeing them in use. Maybe you've had them in your craft room and weren't sure how to use them, or were afraid or intimidated by them. You could also do nail art with I mean, I have it just, but you could do nail art with this too, I think. That would be cool. I think foiling on nails is kind of like a hot trend right now, and you could totally use this. Just put a little bit of clear polish on, let it get tacky, and then apply the Deco foil on top, and you'll have some really cool abstract foil nails. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of that on the paper. It's a dark cardstock, so I just took my microfiber cloth and I just rubbed it on the paper, and it takes all of that excess right off and gets it nice and it'll even take off where there's not adhesive under the wings. Okay, perfect. So then I just trimmed it down a bit with my trimmer. I don't know how much I trimmed it. I kind of just wanted a little strip for my white. We'll see if that gives us enough room. I might need to trim it down a little bit more on this side. Just a smidge. We'll see if that works. I went ahead and I did die cut this panel using the A2 additional layers from Waffle Flower Crafts, and we're going to emboss this sentiment on it. So let's stamp that real quick. I must have gotten something on there, it's sticky. Make sure it's facing the right way. And I put it pretty close to the edge. So to emboss it, I'm using my Wow Embossing Pad Clear Ultra Slow Drying Pad. And I'll stamp that twice just to make sure. Actually, I think I stamped it 3 times. Do you like the bees, Anel? They are pretty cute, and I am terrified of bees. Yesterday, I'll tell you, I was outside with my kids. We had lunch outside, and I was done eating, and I was just sitting there with them, and something flew into me, and I felt it, and I heard it, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know where it went. And I started screaming like a crazy person and jumping around saying, get it off, get it off, get it off me. And it ended up being on the inside of my shirt. It was a beetle, but it was still freaking me out. So it wasn't a bee or anything that could sting me. And we were in our backyard. It's a fenced backyard, but I took off my shirt and like tossed it aside so that the bug wasn't anywhere near me anymore. My kids were hysterical laughing. Okay, so this is the embossing powder that I'm using by now. It's the Weathered Gold, and it comes from the trio, the metallic trio by Seth Apter, and I love this powder. It is so beautiful. It really does have that weathered feel to it. It has a sparkle and a very subtle sparkle. Oh boy. And then I had a lot of stuff on this panel. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stamp it on the other side. So I'm just going to wipe that completely away. That's not going to emboss at all. And we're going to try it again on the back side. So let's move that aside. And we're going to try again. That's why there's 2 sides to cardstock, because if you mess up on one side, you just use the other side and nobody's going to care. They're not going to care and they're not going to notice. I do want to make sure my magnet is there, because I do need to stamp this several times in order to get, oh, and you know what, I'm going to use my powder tool. I don't normally use my powder tool when I'm embossing, because Wow doesn't really have, it has an anti-static product, or not product, but what am I trying to say? It has an anti-static property to it already, but if I have sticky stuff like I do all over my desk, you know, it's going to stick to that. So the anti-static tool will help hopefully minimize that by removing that sticky stuff that got onto my cardstock. Who's watching me? I did have to tell them that story. Yes, and bees are very important to the environment. I know that. I know that. And I know they won't sting you if you don't provoke them. Like, I know all of these things. It's just one of those things that you're like, even though you know, it's irrational. Irrational reactions. There, that's better. See how beautiful that came out? Okay, now we're gonna put the excess back into the jar because I love that powder so much. I don't want to waste it. Tola, hey Tola. That's my daughter Tola, she's my oldest. She did not witness the fiasco of mommy freaking out over a bug going down her shirt. Just everybody else. So I'm going to use my Wow Embossing dual heat tool. I like to use it on the high setting or the second setting, and I always emboss. I start from the back, and then I'll bring it to the front, and it'll just melt away. Oh, so pretty. Let me show you close up how beautiful this powder is. Aw, hi Trinity. Do you see how pretty that is? There's like flecks of black in there and the gold. It's just perfect for this card. Okay, so that is done. What I did was I adhered this to that panel with my, and I know it's going to hang off just a bit, so I'm not going to take the adhesive all the way down. I do want to make sure I have it, yeah, that'll work. And then I'm just going to place that. I'm kind of centering it between the sentiment and the edge of the panel. And then push that down, and then I'm going to take my trimmer. You could take scissors as well, but I like to use the trimmer. It just cuts it nice and clean in one swoop, like that. And so, isn't that pretty? I just think this is such an elegant card. So I pulled out another piece of cardstock to use. Oh, and not cardstock, but pattern paper. I think I'm going to use this pattern paper. And I'm just going to cut it down. I'm going to show you something. I talked about experimenting in the beginning. And I experimented with the Gilding Flakes and the Deco foil transfer gel onto the pattern paper, and it just didn't have as much of an effect, but I wouldn't have known that had I not tried it. So this was my first attempt at using the Gilding Flakes with the Deco foil gel, transfer gel, and I only stamped it once, and I did it on pattern paper, and I thought it would look really pretty, but on these, I stamped it twice in the Misty so that I could do that double stamping. And on the dark cardstock, it just has a much better impact. So I also did emboss the edges of this panel just to tie that in a little bit more. Our embossed sentiments. And because I'm really liking the look of embossing the edges of my cardstock. And when you like something, you tend to use it over and over. At least I do. Until I find something else I like. It's just a really simple way to add a little bit more of the embossing to your project. And I just rub the ink pad on the edges and sprinkle a powder. I did this in like the, I think, day 1 card. Didn't get too much down here, did I? Now that I'm done with it, I will put it away. Get another piece of our card base. I keep forgetting to put these in the description box, but I did get these at scrapbook.com. They're the Nina Solar White pre-scored A2 card bases, and they're super handy to have on hand because when I just want to make a bunch of cards, I don't want to pull out my big cutter to cut down some paper. So I really like having these on hand. So I'm just going to line that up with the bottom edge and adhere that nice and flat. And then all I did was add some foam adhesive to the back. Of this panel all the way around. And I have decided I really like this adhesive, this foam adhesive. I wasn't sure if I would like it because I have to cut it, and I really like not having to cut. But the release paper on this foam tape is a breeze, and that is probably my biggest pet peeve about other inexpensive foam adhesive is that the release paper, if I have to get out another tool to release it, to get it to you know, expose the adhesive, I'm not going to use it. So I only use what I really like on this channel. And that's it. Isn't that such a cute card? I don't know, I love it. So that was our second card, and then our first card is still drying, but there it is. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Anel, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. I've seen you every day, I think, and so thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow with the last card. Be sure to head over to my blog. It's in the description box, inkyfairydesigns.com. Make sure to comment on day 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 5 when it goes up tomorrow for your chance to win random 25 stamps from Unity. That's my favorite part of doing this week. is being able to share Unity stamps with 2 other viewers, readers, all of that, because they're one of my favorite stamp companies. So I hope you guys have fun, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye guys.